Hey everybody, Professor Snart checking in as we move a little bit deeper into our online Intro to Lit course. So if you haven't maybe taken an online class, or an 8-week class I should say before, you're probably already discovering how quickly we tend to move from one unit to the next. Especially in a class like ours where there's readings to do, quizzes usually based on those readings, and then often we'll have discussion boards where there's a posting due date, right, but also a reply due date. So there's kind of a lot to balance and manage and be aware of, but it's also fairly regularly recurring. So I try to keep our due dates, you know, on a pretty predictable time frame. So once you get into the rhythm of it, it becomes, I think, a little bit, I wouldn't say easier, but again, just like more predictable. So easier to schedule maybe. So I want to just take a quick look at our due date schedule or scheme then. So just a reminder that obviously each of the units that we work through has a specific due date. We're now looking at Unit 3, trying to turn around for Monday, October 24th. Keeping in mind that for discussion boards, there's always a double due date system. So initial posts are due by Monday of that due date, and then of course replies due at the very end of the day, 11:59. Reminding again that of course you can do it before then as well to get it out of the way, and again kind of working the course into how your schedule happens to unfold on a week-to-week or like unit-to-unit basis here. But again, this double due date system, so another thing to kind of get used to. I think it's really important though that we have this set up, because if too many people wait until the end of the day and both initial posts and replies are due, then it's really hamstringing, you know, people to get the replies done if there's not really enough posts to reply to. So this helps us kind of stagger things a little bit, and once you get used to the pattern, it usually works out for everybody's benefit. So again though, take stock of kind of where we're at here, how quickly the class moves, what's required of you on a unit-to-unit basis. And again, you're hopefully feeling more comfortable just in terms of navigating our course, but also just how, you know, the rhythm of the whole second 8-week semester is going to go. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick look at Unit 3 then, which is where we're at. Still in the short fiction part of our course, but with a turn towards character as opposed to more of the structural things that we looked at in Unit 2. With a little nod to setting here as well, and kind of a fun activity that I hope you'll enjoy doing. So a new set of readings to do, some interesting, pretty diverse stories: Raymond Carver's Cathedral, The Lesson by Tony K. Bambara, and Araby's James Joyce, famous Irish author. Okay, so you'll notice that in each of these stories we have some pretty strong characters. They're really quite well defined in some ways, but we also have some pretty obvious use of setting as a major component of the stories, particularly in The Lesson and in Araby, which, for as different as they might seem on the surface, you know, different time periods, different kinds of characters involved, they are really, really similar in terms of younger characters kind of beginning with a certain naive attitude toward the world, despite the fact that they think they're much more mature and knowledgeable, going on a literal journey to a different kind of setting, and then returning to that original place in The Lesson, or just kind of left hanging in Araby, but being fundamentally changed as characters on the basis of that journey or that movement from one setting to another, and then maybe back again or maybe not. So the first assignment that we're going to do is we're going to use a tool that I like called Padlet. And so you can access it by going to the link here, but I just want to show you that it's also embedded in our course, so you'll actually be able to see some of what people begin to post. But I recommend to use it, you're going to want to go to the link. And the idea is to do this on your cell phone, your smartphone. So it really is designed to be a mobile assignment. It's not something that you want to really sit at the computer, or really can even sit at the computer. So Padlet is cool because it tends to play really nicely with mobile devices, and you don't need to sign up for an account. You don't need to download an app, although there is one, but you can just follow the link, and I'm actually going to text this out through our Remind, and I'll email it out so that you can click on it on your phone, and it will open a browser and take you to what you'll see is just this sort of digital corkboard, a place where we can post things. So on your phone, or even if on the computer here, you'll be able to click the little plus button and do a post. And I'm just going to open up the separate place here. So it's same thing, right? But the actual Padlet tool, it's just a big old blank space of brown in the screen capture. So I'm going to do, so let's say I'm out, this is my phone, let's pretend. The assignment is to go and find sort of a setting that's not going to be a literal representation of the settings that are reminding you of the stories, but a setting that kind of evokes a mood that you get. So Araby is, you know, early 19th, or early 20th, late 19th century Dublin, Ireland, right? So we're not going to literally be there. The lesson is New York City. Maybe you're there, but probably not. Cathedral, kind of an unnamed suburb type of feel, more like the house becomes the setting. But it's less about the literal setting and more about like the feeling that those settings evoke and sort of like the atmospherically what they do in the stories. So what this assignment then challenges you to do is kind of be keeping an eye out just in your daily life as you're walking around with your phone in your pocket to see a setting or to be in a place that for you kind of evokes that same atmosphere, that same mood. So not thinking quite so literally, but trying to find more of that atmospheric mood type of thing. Okay, so here we are back at our digital corkboard here. I'm out in the world and I see a setting that reminds me of Araby or whatever it might be. So I'm going to click the little button and then it'll invite me to post something. So I might write a little like text thing. This reminded me of Araby, or you know, some little thing like that. Make sure you put your name on it, right? So that I can actually assign a grade, the points to it. And then the nice thing I think about Padlet is that it will actually invite you to do a whole bunch of different things within the utility itself. You can do a little audio thing. You could actually capture video. And I think more commonly for people, I'm going to ask that they capture a picture. And what it'll let you do is actually take the picture with your phone right then and there and post it right into Padlet. You don't have to, although you can, but you don't have to take the picture separately and then post it after the fact. If you run into technical problems trying to do it, I say just take the picture and then maybe sit down at the computer later and create a post. And one of the options here will be to upload a file, which is what you can do as well. So I think it may seem like a totally new kind of thing that you've done. You might, maybe you've never used this tool before, but I found it to be pretty user-friendly with a little bit of, you know, just attention to detail on your part. But I think it's really fun to even in an online class, to feel like you're kind of out there in the world still thinking about our course, not always just tethered to the computer. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to close that down, back to our course here. And of course, as people start doing the assignment, you'll be able to come in here or visit the link and actually see the pictures that people post. So it's sort of cool to, again, see what people are doing more or less in real time almost. Okay, so this is something that then is really important to be thinking about now until the due date, not like the night of the due date, and then you're just going to go and take some sort of random picture and kind of make it fit, and, you know, sort of half an effort, really. And obviously, if you have technical difficulties or anything, just be in touch with me. Absolute worst case scenario, you can take a picture, email it to me, and I'll post it to our digital corkboard for you. But that's really not how it's designed to work. Okay, so fun mobile assignment to get us thinking about and aware of setting and mood and atmosphere, something that's really so important in these, especially these three stories here, really in all stories, but these three especially. Okay, and then down at the very bottom, there is a brief discussion board component, focusing more on the character side of things, asking you to compare two characters from the set of stories that we're reading for this unit. It doesn't have to be the main character if you want to do a sort of side character or secondary character, but they have to be from different stories. And as always, we want to really support that analysis with quotation. Keep in mind, we're also like talking about finding similarities here. We really don't want to know that these are different characters. We kind of already know that. We want to know why they're similar, or in what ways they're similar. And keep in mind that could cover a breadth of things. It could be things like basic description of appearance, their age, gender, family situation. It could be more of their experience within the story or how they relate to other characters. So we're focused on character, but we're thinking much more broadly than just like what a character looks like necessarily. Think of behaviors too, even like what they say or dialogue, interaction with other characters, whether that's a lot or kind of not very much. If they're introverted and don't say very much, you know, maybe you find a similarity between a couple of characters that way as well. All right, so a couple of different things. Obviously, we're getting really into the content of our course here, so it's becoming really apparent to me when things are posted kind of at the last minute, and a post and replies are happening within minutes of each other, right? We need for there to be some engagement, ongoing engagement in the class for you to be successful. So I want to support you in that. If you have especially technical difficulties, you can reach out to me. If you just don't understand an assignment, obviously reach out to me. So again, I want to be kind of demanding of what we're doing here. This isn't just a thing that you do for 5 minutes once a week. But I also, of course, want to support you in the rigor of the course, or in achieving some of the goals that the course is laying out. And hopefully kind of a fun assignment here, something a little different than the norm. All right, so as always, be in touch with me with questions or concerns, and I will check in with everybody soon.